I'm Susan, the main farmer here at Lucky Star Farm, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking to you a little bit about the goats at Lucky Star Farm. Our farm is a small 20-acre diverse farm located in Johnson County, Iowa. We have chickens. We did a chicken chat here recently. We talked about all the laying hens that we have. We have goats that we'll introduce you to today. We have a few llamas that you might have a chance to see. And we will have some turkeys here at the farm soon. So come on in the barn. Let's meet some goats. This breed of goat is called a Nigerian dwarf goat. And these goats are raised for milking. They provide a really nice, high butter fat, nice sweet milk that we love to drink here at the farm. We also make ice cream and yogurt and cheeses. We have a herd of about 13 goats, and this year, 5 of our goats became mamas. So we have 13 kids here at the farm. You can see that most of these goats here are bigger. These are most of the mamas here at the farm. Nigerian dwarf goats, they live maybe about 12 years. They get full grown at about 3 years of age. And they might come in around 75 pounds, between 60 and 80 pounds or so. We breed our goats in the fall to have kids in the springtime, around spring break time. And this is one of the newest kids here at Lucky Star Farm. This is Archie. Archie has a couple of sisters here that are laying under the heat lamp. Archie and his sisters were born about 2 weeks ago. You might be able to see that Archie has really beautiful blue eyes. We have 2 bucks here at Lucky Star Farm. Those are daddy goats. And the daddy goats had blue eyes this year. So a lot of the kids at our farm are also blue-eyed goats. You might see that Archie has a couple of little spots on the top of his head. And Archie has spots there because we removed the place where his horns might grow in so that he wouldn't get horns, so he could be a safer goat for himself and for his new herd. Oh, here come some friends. We have a few other naughty kids here at Lucky Star Farm that are a little bit older than Archie. Some of these kids were born about 6 weeks ago. We have a few boys, we have a few girls. They like to run and jump around. Here they come. I'll put Archie down with his friends. We're going to talk to you a little bit about milking, since that's one of the reasons we have goats here at Lucky Star Farm. And if you have questions that pop into your head as you're looking at these guys or watching the milking demonstration, you can go ahead and type them in the bar down below. So let's go. Let's go milk a goat. Luna. Lou. Come on, Sue. Luna's one of my first goats here at Lucky Star Farm. And she knows what to do when it's milking time. She knows when she's at the milk stand. She's going to give a little bit of grain. Don't you, Lou? So we give her a little bit of grain. And the first thing that we do, we take a cloth and we wipe off her udder. This part down below, this is where the milk is stored, and this is called the udder. And the udder has 2 teats, and that's where the milk comes from. So first thing we do is we clean her udder, and then we use something called a squirt cup, and we put a squirt she has 5 new goats. So she might not have a lot of milk for us right now, but we'll find out. All right, Luke. So, you let the teat fill with milk, and then you start to squeeze. And then she produces milk. Now this is not a lot of milk, okay? But in the mornings when I milk Luna, she produces about a quart a day. So I milk 5 of these goats in the morning, and at night their babies get to go in a little sleepover together. They snuggle up by their heat lamp together away from their mamas overnight. And then in the morning I milk the mamas, and after that the babies come out and they spend the rest of the day with the herd. Good job, Luna. Thank you. Back we go. Come on, everybody. Nigerian dwarf goats commonly have between 1 and 4 babies at a time. This year, most of our goats have triplets. So that's a lot of babies for these mamas to feed. And these mamas only have 2 teats. And so when they have more babies than 2, sometimes they have to compete a little bit to get their mama's milk. And so we keep a special eye on them to make sure they're all growing really well. This big guy, I don't even know if I can lift him. Oof. This big guy is Simon, and he was born about 6 weeks ago. And he is a jumbo boy. He's the biggest baby we've had here at Lucky Star Farm. He was 5.5 pounds, and most Nigerian dwarf babies here born are closer to 3 pounds. So he's gonna have questions?
We have a question from Jackie Simpson. How long with milking does it take to get a quart of milk, time-wise?
Good question, Jackie. Well, when I milk by hand, it takes a whole lot longer. It might take me 7-8 minutes ago, but I bought a milking machine last year, and so when I use a milking machine, it's about 4 minutes. So it's much more efficient for me to use that, and it's a lot easier on my hands.
And how many goats do you milk in a day?
Right now, I am milking 5 goats. Here you go, Simon. I milk the goats that are able to provide enough milk for their babies. And once they're able to do that, usually around a couple of weeks, then I add them to the milking string. If a mama has a lot of babies and she's having a hard time keeping up producing enough milk for her babies all by herself, then I don't milk her. I just let her feed babies. And then at about 8 weeks, the babies are weaned. They stop drinking milk with their mamas, and a lot of them will go to a new farm.
Why do you remove their horns?
Why do I remove their horns? That's a good question. And not everyone removes their horns, but I do, because I feel like it's safer for the goats. One way it's safer for the goats, well, if you can see some of these goats over here at this feeder, a lot of times goats are in a feeder or they're grazing in a pasture along a fence row, and it's not uncommon for a goat to stick their head through a fence and end up with their horns maybe stuck in a fence, which, as you can imagine, could be kind of dangerous. And also, I think horns, when you're milking your goat, can be a bit dangerous. And we have a lot of young people that come to our farm, and a lot of these goats go to a 4-H fair, and it's just safer, I believe.
Do you sell the milk or drink it?
We drink our milk. In Iowa, it's illegal for me to sell raw goat's milk from my farm.
And Kyla and Emberly want to know what you feed them.
Oh, great. Well, Kyla and Emberly, when a goat is a milking goat, that when she's on the milk stand, she gets to have a little bit of grain with some sunflower seeds mixed in and maybe some alfalfa pellets. But the rest of the day, or if they're not a milking goat, they can eat here in a feeder like this, where we feed them some hay that has alfalfa in it. And now that it's springtime in Iowa, their pasture is starting to grow a lot of nice green grass, and they'll browse out there. Goats really like to eat up off the ground. They really like to browse up to graze down low. And so we try and give them a variety of places to eat and take them on walks where they get to see some different varieties of plants. Are there other questions? Let's go outside and look at the playground this morning. Let's see who's having a bit of free time. Come on. You can see that there are some goats outside as well. Uh-oh. Are there goats in this feeder? Let's see. Goats can be kind of naughty. Oh, Tina. Tiny Tina is in the feeder. Goats can be kind of naughty creatures. You have to keep your eye on them. Come on, Tina. Let's get out. Are there other questions?
Jojo and Isla want to know how long a goat's life is.
A goat usually lives to be about 12 years old, more or less, when you take great care of them.
And how tall of a fence do you need to keep the goats fenced in?
Our fences are 4 feet tall, and we haven't had any escapes yet. They sometimes walk through a fence if the holes are too big, but they have never jumped over.
The Nelson kids would like to know what you do with the male goats.
What do we do with the male goats? Well, let's go back inside. It's kind of noisy. Our male goats have 2 different jobs. Some of the male goats become pets at other farms. Some of the male goats become bucks or daddy goats at other farms. And in fact, one of the goats that you see here, that little guy nibbling on the bush, his name is Rocky. And Rocky is going to stay at Lucky Star Farm, and he will become one of the daddy goats next year.
Allie from North Liberty wants to know if you have other animals on your farm.
We do have other animals on our farm. We have llamas. Hi, Fergie. We have llamas on our farm. Some of the llamas on our farm are guardian llamas. We have 2 guardian llamas in the pasture with these goats to keep them safe from coyotes. And we'll have turkeys soon that we raise for Thanksgiving.
Jolene wants to know how many babies does a goat have in a year?
In a year. Well, at our farm, they only have babies 1 time a year. They have babies now in the springtime, and they raise their babies, and then we milk until about the end of October or so, and then, oh hello, and then they get pregnant, hopefully, in the fall, and have babies again 150 days later.
And do you drink the milk straight from the goat, or do you have to do something with it before you can drink it?
Oh, that's a great question. Yes, we have to do other things to that milk. So after I milk in the mornings, I get about a gallon in the morning. I take that milk inside and I funnel it through a funnel with a strainer, with a filter rather, and get it nice and clean. Filter out any of the hay or fur that might be in there. And then after I get it poured into jars, then I put those jars in a chiller, which is just a big jar filled with icy water. And we try and get it chilled down below 42 degrees in the first hour. And then after that, after it gets nice and cold, then we can just start drinking it.
Amara wants to know what you do with the goats in the winter.
In the winter time, they grow big shaggy winter coats, and they just stay here on the farm. They might stay inside the barn a little bit more. You can tell that the floor of the barn has a lot of straw on it, so we give them a nice thick carpet of straw to sleep on and to stay toasty warm. And so they just grow babies in the winter time,
Do you worry about predators?
You know what? I don't really worry about predators because I have my two guardian llamas, Hazel and Sunny, and they do a really great job of keeping their eyes on these goats for me.
Why do goats have a playground, and what kind of playground do they have?
Well, goats have a playground because, as you can see, they really like to be busy and they really like to have things to do. And goats often like to be somewhere that's high. They like to keep climbing and climbing till they get to the tippy top. So they like to climb on stools or a dog kennel upside down or virtually anything you put out there for your goat, they're going to climb on it.
And Kai wants to know how much a goat needs to eat each day.
Well, that's a good question. I usually feed all these goats about a half a bale of hay a day. So these little mouths don't really eat a lot. They mostly are nursing from their mamas. But the adult goats eat about half a bale a day. And now that it's green outside, they'll be grazing outside in their pasture more often. Now look at this guy. This guy is really tapping on my hand. And let me tell you something kind of cool about goats. They only have teeth on the bottom. And I don't know if Simon would let me show you that, but he only has teeth on the bottom. And he has a bony plate, on the top. But you know what? That doesn't stop him from being a chomper.
Hazel wants to ask, do you name all of your goats, and what are their names?
Oh my gosh. Naming our goats is one of our favorite part of being goat owners. And we pick a theme for each litter of goats so that we can remember their names. Now this little guy, Simon, he was a singleton, so he is Single Simon. This guy that's climbing on me, this is Ross, aka Rocky, and he has a sister, Rachel, Ross and Rachel. Now this girl right here, this is Poppy. She is not a baby. She was born a year ago, but she still likes to be, oh, did you see that? She likes to teach these babies how to be goats. We have quadruplets that are Martin, Malcolm, Rosa, and Harriet. We have the rapper girls, Cardi B, Fergie, and Lizzo. We have some little battlers in here. We have Archie and Betty and Veronica having a little spar there in the kid pen. Oh, look at them go.
Aside from drinking it, what else can you do with goat's milk?
You can make lotions and soaps with it. We make goat's milk soap that we use here at the farm. People make yogurt and kefir and all kinds of things like that.
We also have a question. What would you recommend for a beginner goat mama?
As in starting with goats? Well, when we started with two sisters and a brother, and the brother was castrated. That's called a wether in the goat world. And we started with just a few little goats, just to make sure that raising goats was something that we really enjoyed. We found a farm that was selling goats that was really reputable and willing to be our mentors, and that was a really great way to get started, and I would encourage you to do the same.
Jeremiah would like to know, when did you get your first goat?
We got our first goats about 7 years ago at the Iowa State Fair.
And how much do full-grown adult male goats weigh?
Full-grown male goats, I would say the boys are probably upwards of about 80 pounds, and the girls are on the smaller side. They're probably closer to around 60 pounds.
We have a request to meet the guardian llamas.
Well, let's take a peek outside, friends. Let's see if they're available. Let's go, kids.